Do you want to visit Europe, but you're confused how to get a Schengen visa? Don't worry, I will get you covered in this video. The Schengen visa allows you to visit 27 countries having just one visa, which sounds great, right? And I know that it might be difficult, especially if you live outside of Europe, but don't worry, because in this video I will guide you and I will give you some tips on how to make sure that the process will go smoothly. Okay, so to start with the topic, let's firstly discuss the types of visas, especially here I'm talking about the visas for students. So number one visa is the short-term one, which is type C, which usually people will get when they are planning to come to some exchange programs, some summer schools, and with that visa you cannot be in Europe for more than 90 days. But then we also have a visa which is type D, which is long-term student visa, and this one will allow you to do some master's programs, bachelor's, PhDs, and so on. I guess watching this video you already have some countries in your mind that you would like to visit for studying, right? Like, I know, Germany, Sweden, France, or whatever. However, I do not really I do not really recommend Western European countries, as they are more expensive. And for example, if we take Germany as an example, the tuition fees are maybe not super high, but I've heard that the visa process that they have is very strict, which would be already a problem for a lot of people. Again, we have some other country that I visited and where I already knew some people, like Italy. Again, we have probably even lower tuition fees than Germany, but their visa process and in general, like knowing Italy, their bureaucracy takes like a lot of time, and I also don't recommend Italy, for example, for that reason. According to me, the best countries that you can consider would be Central Europe or Eastern Europe. Like, I'm Oliwia from Poland, but honestly, like, Poland is a good country to consider because the visa process is not that complicated. We have a quite high acceptance rate. And apart from that, our tuition fees are even lower than Western Europe. Where to apply for a Polish student visa or any other country? The process will be very similar. Firstly, you need to find an embassy or consulate of that particular country in your city or any biggest city that you have in your country. Like in India, it will be for sure in New Delhi or Mumbai, you can find one. And then after that, you need to book an appointment on econsulate.gov.pl on this particular website, and I also place the link over here. You need to fill out an online form and book an appointment, and you really need to be quite fast with that and keep checking the slots every day probably to be sure that you can get your appointment and things done very quickly. Required documents for a Polish student visa. Starting with the filled out form on e-consulate website that I just mentioned. Then, of course, your passport has to be valid as well. Must be valid for at least 6 months beyond your stay. Some recent passport photos you need to have per Polish visa specifications it has to be made. University admission letter, so like a proof that you have been accepted into a Polish university. Proof of paid tuition fees, like some universities require at least 1 semester fee payment before your visa approval. Proof of accommodation, like dormitory, some, I don't know, room or whatever that you will find. One of the last things would be proof of financial means, like a bank statement or some sponsorship letter. And regarding that, I mean, you need to prove that like yearly you're able to cover the expenses, like average expenses that you would have to study in Poland. Like usually it's something around 10,000 euros yearly. You would need to prove that you would be able to have to basically support yourself while living and studying in Poland. I mean, of course, it depends on the tuition fees, the city, like there can be different factors that can vary. However, it will be something around like 10,000 euros yearly, depending also on the studies that you choose. Then you need also to prove your English skills, usually like some certificate like TOEFL or some other certificate that is valid in Europe as well. And you could also possibly have a Polish language certificate if you are studying in Polish. However, I assume that you'll be planning to study in English and not in Polish. And a pro tip, if your parents will be sponsoring you, then attach their bank statement to your application. Student visa interview process. So, as you know, you might be asked by the embassy for an interview with them in which you will have to explain, like, why did you choose Poland or some other country? How will you finance your studies? Do you have any family in Poland? And what are your future plans after graduation? And remember to be confident. And yeah, because like anytime you would be showing some doubts or some uncertainty, it gives them signs that you might not be really honest with them, or that you're hiding something, or that you are not qualified for, your studies, or that you might not be really like a genuine person. So really remember about confidence, and yeah, that would be my advice. How long does processing take? Usually it's something between like 3 to 8 weeks. And then if your visa is approved, you will get the Type D long-term student visa that I mentioned at the beginning. If rejected, you can appeal or reapply with some stronger documentation. And another pro tip, if you know that your course will be starting soon, then please you have to act as soon as possible. How to increase your chances of visa approval? Step number 1 would be apply early, as if you do it last minute, there are higher chances that you will forget something and that your visa will get rejected. Then step 2, show strong financial proof, like be sure that you have enough money in your bank statement. Then step 3, provide a clear study plan, like what exactly you want to study, what are your plans regarding those studies, what you want to do after you graduate. Then check for any missing documents. Like even small mistakes, like I mentioned, can lead to rejection. And what happens after you arrive to Poland? Well, within the first 4 weeks, you have to apply for the temporary resident permit, which is called Karta Pobytu. And once you do it, you're allowed to work up to 20 hours a week. And you can also work full-time, but only during holidays. And don't forget to also use this time to visit some other Schengen countries. And since all the countries in Europe are actually very close by, it's very fast to reach even by bus. It's not that long. I really advise you to use this opportunity to see as many countries as you can. And that's how you apply for a Polish visa as a non-European. If this video was helpful for you, remember to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more content like this from my side as well. Oh, and also let me know in the comments to which university are you planning to go.